Okay, right, it's Nick again. Back here, doing my normal thing, but I'm going to bed early tonight because I'm going to, spurred on by a conversation I had with a friend of mine on Facebook, return to my exploration and experimentation with this wonderful stuff, which is just a tea, that's all, perfectly innocent, ordinary, everyday tea called Guayusa, spelled Guayusa. It's a trippy fucking tea. The way you use it is you have 1 week infusion a little before bedtime. You make it so you wake up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, you have a much stronger infusion, and then you go back to bed. So it's often recommended, or it seems to be recommended, that you make your 3 o'clock in the morning infusion, where you wake up, knock back your infusion, then get straight back to sleep. You don't want to wake up totally at that point in time. You don't want to be like running around and awake and all the rest of it. You just want to be just like, eyes half closed. Knock back your very strong Guayusa, and then get back to bed, basically. So I've had this little infuser, which is pretty ghastly for a regular tea, because the holes in the mesh is far too large for a lot of the teas which I use. Can't use it for yerba mate because yerba mate has polvero, namely powder, which goes through the mesh, and it's terrible. And I can't use it for a regular tea because a regular tea expands like crazy. But it seems to be okay more for Guayusa, which doesn't seem to expand as much, because if it was to expand, it would fill up the entire cavity. You wouldn't get any real infusion happening, and the goodness would basically be stuck. It wouldn't be able to get out. So I'm using that infuser, and I've got myself kiln jar, what you Americans would call a mason ball jar, that sort of thing, with that kind of like same type of lid. And I've of course discovered, as a result of just playing the fuck around, this fits very nicely in there. So fill this like half full of hot water, leave that beside my bed, and then that'll be a nice strong infusion for me to cane when I come to. And then I'll be seeing all kinds of weird stuff. Now, the friend of mine who I was discussing this with previously had an experience recently that was like scary shit. I haven't had scary shit. I've had weird, flying over deserts and stuff. Okay, but I haven't really had like gothic horror. So I've been watching a bit of the horror channel. And now I'm going to go to bed nice and early so I can trip my brain off. And I'll speak to you in the morning and see if I look a bit pale, as if, oh my god, don't do this sort of thing, then that means it's working. Speak to you in a bit. Okay, just quickly before I finally hit the hay, here's the progress. We got this nice colour to the infusion, which is not the kind of like yellow colours that you would normally get with something like the the peony teas, which I really like. This is much more of like a seaweed-esque, slightly greenish hue. The tea ball is doing a reasonably good job, although there is some leaking of the Guayusa leaf out of the infuser, so that's not terribly good. But to the most part, it's holding up quite well, so I think I have found a good use for it. And I'll be leaving this beside my bed, and it's going to be very strong by then, I'm hoping. I've got about 1.5 teaspoons in there. If that's an infusion which goes on for like 4 hours or whatever, then that's going to be a good extraction. So I'm looking forward to flying by the power of well, it's not really a normal. I said in the last segment of video, it was a normal, ordinary, everyday, innocent tea. It isn't. Okay, it's a holly plant, very similar to yerba mate, apparently. But I think it looks different and smells different to yerba mate, and it's got a kind of like an iodine-esque flavour to it. It's very curious. Get some. Seriously. Okay, first thing in the morning, after a night on Guayusa. The infusion worked out very well, very deep, very dark, very rich. Remember, what you saw there is like the second infusion, because you have your first infusions before bed. I had 2 weak teas made with Guayusa before bed over the course of about an hour, roughly. Then I went to bed, came to at about 2 in the morning, drank up all the stronger infusion, which had been going for hours, and basically went really, really dark and rich. And boom, totally lucid. I mean, the heart was pounding, and when I was in bed, I could feel like the caffeine going through me, but it hadn't actually woken me up. That's the thing, I was still drowsy. I was still, yeah, I was drowsy. I was drowsy. I've created a new word. Okay, so I was drowsy, had my eyes closed, went into proper lucid dreaming, and this was like total clear-cut crystal stuff. I mean, oh, it was amazing. I mean, what was really curious was like, even after the first 2 weak infusions when I went to bed, my visualization ability was just much more advanced when I was lying in bed with my eyes closed. So that has some, it's wow. So I decided what the hell I would do the equivalent of like a circle casting around me, which is what you do in Wicca when you're worried about nasty things coming against you, or whatever. So I thought I'd do that first, and I did that with all manner of symbolism that I could like lay my hands on whilst I was lying in bed. I wasn't standing up drawing stars everywhere. I was just like lying in bed visualizing it all one by one, and because the visualization ability at the first stage after the first 2 infusions was quite so strong, I could feel it very nicely. So that shows me that it's the kind of like state of mind you might need for remote viewing or something like that. It worked very well. Then, of course, dozed off, came to about 2 in the morning, hit the strong infusion, cardiac pumping like crazy, stimulation throughout the whole body, but not feeling awake. So I put my head back on the pillow, and hey presto, it was like totally lucid, totally clear. Didn't get any like big bag entities. Maybe I shouldn't have done the circle casting thing before I actually put my head down, because maybe I'd actually done it. Maybe I'd actually stopped demons from attacking me or whatever. I don't know. None of us know. None of us know at all. Okay, it's all guesswork. But either way, I didn't get any big bad scary entities coming my way. And part of me thinks like that's a shame because I was watching the horror channel to try and make it happen. Oh dear. Either way, Guayusa, man, just get some. Probably the best bit of fun you can have. With your eyes closed and you're lying down and you're still. Kind of thing. Speak to you soon.